Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thanks for joining us for our first Vivid Vision Prime Time webinar series. Listen, we have an awesome treat for you tonight. We're kicking our first Prime Time special off with our sixth administration, our Chief Overseer, Bishop CK Butler Sr. This is so awesome. And I'm just letting you know that I am Isha and we the moderator for this series. We thank you for supporting us throughout this Vivid Vision webinar series. And without further ado, I will introduce to you our beloved Sixth Administration, Bishop Dr. Clary K. Butler Sr. How are you doing tonight, Dr. Butler?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, you're looking good too. I see.
Thank you.
Yes. So as we reflect over this past year, I know so much happened, so much has came at you full throttle. What do you remember from that day you were selected chief overseer?
When I reflect back on the day of the selection, I think one of the most important things that came to mind was we met with the family immediately afterwards. And then I was reminded by the Holy Ghost that we must remain humble because the selection, God did not have to choose us. There were several of my brothers and sisters that were well qualified, extremely qualified to carry out this work. But God selected us, and we said we are honored for that. But being that we were selected out of all of those gifted and talented chief elders and bishops, it reminds us that we must stay humble.
Yes, yes, that is so awesome. Now, is there a moment you wish you could relive from that day? Would you do anything differently?
When I reflect back, if I was to do anything different, we would have to pray more and lean on our God, because without Him leading us and directing us, we would not be able to do this work. And I remember we immediately left the campus and went to dinner and then to one of the hotels up in the city so that the family could just have some quiet time. And in that time, it was the time that we used to reflect on the importance of this job and that our life had instantly changed. And we have to make sure that we're ready for this challenge.
Oh, yes. I believe that something of this magnitude could change your life forever. And that is big. Now, do you have moments right now where this seems like it's just a dream? Have you picked yourself as a reminder? You are the chief of sin. You are the chief of sin. You are here.
You know, there's no time for me to sleep, watch, and work and pray. We've got so much work to do that we really don't have time to worry about looking back to see if we can take a little bit more rest. It is an awesome job, but it is a great job. I would say the greatest job right now on earth, not dealing with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, but what we have been assigned to do.
Oh, yes.
To lead God's
This is a
people to
great
God's
assignment.
Yes.
A great assignment. Now, what has been one low light and also one highlight that you can share since becoming the chief?
One low light that comes easily to my mind is that we have to stop having funerals and start having nothing but graveside service. Our members were dying, faithful members of the church, those that had even helped build the church. And because of COVID-19, our members were still away from us. Family after family, almost every family in the church was affected. And then the churches were closed. And we couldn't, because of COVID-19, we could not have funeral services. And it affected me a lot because I just couldn't see us taking faithful members who had given their life to the church and then not even having a funeral service, but going straight to the graveyard. And it affected me greatly. That was a low time in my life. I think when I think about one of the high spots, we said at the inauguration of the Sixth Administration, one of the things that we said would happen that we were going to ask God for, that we would have a retirement system for our ministers. Now, I'm pleased to announce on tonight that after 119 years, our church now has a retirement system for the hard-working ministers and laborers of this great house.
Wow, I'm clapping my hands off of that one because for years we've had so many individuals labor and work and labor and work for the church, and basically they died into their labor and work. And just now knowing that they could take a moment and retire for themselves is something awesome. That is awesome. That is a blessing. That is a blessing. And as I move and shift to this next question, you know, and growing up in this church, you know, we've seen so many different people, so many influential people. I can remember Bishops Ravenel, Bishops Thomas, Bishop Jenkins, Bishop J.W. Nelson. I can go on down the list. Name three people that has been influential or that was influential in your growth in the church.
Now that one is very, very easy, even though a lot of people helped me along the way. Deacons helped me, various ministers helped me, members helped me, but my three most influential people and bishops of this church that mentored me: Bishop James W. Jenkins, third chief overseer; Bishop James C. Elliott, fourth chief overseer; and our very own Bishop Rebecca W. Fletcher, the fifth chief overseer and administrator of this great church. Those were the three even now, that has shaped my life. And even as we teach, we always lean back, and if I don't find it in the Bible, I'll find it in the decree book. I will always lean back and say, well, Bishop Jenkins taught us this. Bishop Elliott taught us this. Bishop Fletcher taught us that. And that way I know I'm standing on solid ground. Those are my three.
Oh, that's some heavy ground to stand on. That is some heavy ground, you know. So a lot of people, we see you in the church, you know, we see you in the church, we see you working, we see you laboring. How do you relieve stress as the chief overseer? Because you carry so much weight on your shoulders. So how do you relieve stress?
That's another short answer. Rest. Real rest. In other words, I just have to lay down. And once I lay down for just a little while, when I wake up, I'm feeling so much better, I'm ready to go back to work. Rest.
Right.
And I recommend it for you and everybody else. Rest will relieve stress.
That's right. That's right. Rest will relieve stress. Now, at this moment, I am going to introduce to you our director of our Chief Overseers Fellows, and that's Reverend Frederick Sims. How are you tonight?
Doing well. How are you, Shane?
I'm doing well. You may take it.
All right. And so I'm going to ask just a few questions to our Chief Overseer. That would just give us an opportunity to learn a little bit more about him and give him the opportunity to share some wisdom with us and to share some memories. So good evening, Chief.
Good evening. God bless you, and good to see you again. And your organization is doing a great job in our church.
Thank you so much, Chief. It's good to see you as well. I'd first like to start off by saying that it's truly a blessing and an honor to serve as the director of your Fellows program. The experience of being a fellow is quite honestly unmatched. And so on behalf of the entire Fellows program, we just want to say thank you.
Great job. Great job.
Thank you, sir. And so we were excited when we found out that there'd be a question and answers segment to this session. And so we want to just tackle a few things, just to get a little bit of your wisdom, and again, for you to share some memories, and just to get to know you a little bit more personally. So we know that you've been married to the lovely First Lady of this great church for many, many years. So you might be aware that a lot of people or young people in this church have just recently gotten married. So we have a lot of newlyweds. What's one marriage tip or some advice that you'd offer to married couples in this day and age?
Seek ye first the kingdom of God.
Oh, yes.
And his righteousness.
Yes, sir.
All of these things, happy marriage, happy home, good job, whatever you so desire, believe it or not, it will be added unto you. So my advice to anyone that is about to get married, thinking about getting married, put God first. Now, by you being who you are, you will probably be thinking in the back of your mind, the chief, when he got married, he wasn't saved. And that would be a true statement. But if I didn't get saved, and especially when I did, I don't think we would have made 50 years, might have not even made 5 years, because it is what has kept us together, has kept this marriage going, is that we both received the Holy Ghost. Now, that Holy Ghost didn't come along until about 7 years into the marriage. So sometimes we might get a phone call and say, Chief, how do you all make it? Those first 50. I'm not worried about you now, Chief, because I know you and Deaconess Butler. You all arrived at 51, almost 52 years training. But those first 7 years, how to make it? God still had to manage those first 7 years. Keep us from what Bishop Fletcher used to call, and especially myself, and that would be climbing Fool's Mountain. And so I'm so glad I went. I'm not glad I went up the mountain, but I went up the mountain. But I thank God I was able to come down the mountain. So I'm hoping that will help the other adults also.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for dropping those nuggets of wisdom. So seek God and receive the Holy Ghost. Awesome.
Hey.
A fail-proof plan. And so out of your union came 3 awesome children. What's one of your favorite fun memories you have with your children?
I've got a lot of fun memories with my children. But when you were talking about, are you talking about F-U-N or F-O-N-D?
F-U-N.
Okay. So I think when we talk about F-U-N, I think about my 2 grandboys when they were just little lads, somewhere between 5, let's say 4 and 6 years old. And I had a way of making them think that I had made them disappear. And then after a while, even though they hadn't disappeared, I had a way of letting them know that they had come back. So we had a lot of fun today.
All right, that sounds like it. I'm convinced that nothing is more important than family time. Okay. And so just to kind of segue into this next question, we kind of want to learn a little bit more about you, Chief. So what's your favorite place to travel to?
Nashville.
Nashville.
Yes, sir.
There's no surprise
and
there.
It just didn't happen. Ever since I got saved in January 1978. And so that first year, which would have been June of 1978, got saved in January 1978. June 1978, we were in the General Assembly, and we had never missed one. We were here. The General Assembly is vacation time. The General Assembly is church time. The General Assembly is getting the family back together, even my children that all live in different states. But that's our family reunion time. Now, they might not agree with me, but from my standpoint, it's Nashville.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so my next and final question here, we do understand that the job of the chief overseer is quite busy. And so the fellows were curious. Do you ever get to take vacation or personal time as the chief overseer?
That goes right back. I take the vacation when they come, but all roads for the vacation leads to Nashville.
Totally understandable. Thanks for sharing all of this information with us, Chief. We will continue to pray for you as you follow Jesus and as you continue to lead us. Thank you.
And let me just say one more thing. I don't want, I know Paul said, follow me like I follow Christ, but I'm not telling the young people to do what I did about Nashville. I want to see the General Assembly. I want to see what we put on these very special meetings. But I expect you to have family time and vacation time with your family. I do believe in that. But remember, I'm 73 now. So I'm not looking behind me. I'm looking on the other side.
Yes,
so
sir.
all my focus now is toward the other way. And even as partner and I, we're quite content. And the children, especially Tammy and Mom, they want to have us to go this place and go that place. But you know, a lot of that money, especially at this time, would be better served for us if it was going toward the complex, helping us do something to expand the church. We got a lot of work to do. God bless you. Thank you for your part.
Thank you, sir.
All right. That was some good information, some very good information. Now, as we segue into this next part, you play in a band. Now, you play the trumpet. Do you miss having those musical gigs that you had? Not only did you played with some famous people. Share that experience with us.
I did play with some famous people. I would just share this maybe for the young people's sake, but they would know some of these folks anyway. I just with Wilson Pickett, Mustang Saturday Night. I was with Evan James, William Bell. A few more like that. Maybe several artists. But as far as the band, when I got saved, came to the church, I couldn't miss the band because I kept on playing. Played in the church for a number of years, played in the General Assembly for a number of years. I got with some of the great musicians here in Nashville, the Billings families, the Carters and others. And for many, many years, we served the church as trumpet players. And that has kept us going. Now, back home in the local church, they don't have to let me play. I play a little bit of organ. I thought I did pretty well, but my son, he about the main one tried not to let me play. But now, when there's nobody on Wednesday night, nobody on Friday night, I'm not going to let that organ sit over there by itself. So I get a chance to play if the musicians don't show up. So we still play.
All right. I'm going to get them for not letting you play. Yeah. Let you play. Let them play.
Let me play. Turn me loose sometimes.
That's right.
You let them play. About it up in New Jersey. They turned me loose up in New Jersey. Up in Orange, New Jersey.
Okay.
One of our services. And everybody came around and taking pictures. And I thought for a minute, am I a star?
You are a star, Chief. You are a star. All right. Do you have a favorite meal? What is your favorite meal?
My favorite meal is now in the past. My favorite meal was lamb, and more lamb.
Oh, wow.
Now, I must have ate too much. Because now my favorite meal, fruits and vegetables, along with fish. That's
all right.
Where I am right now.
All right. The key is stay healthy. That's the key.
Stay healthy. That's right. That's the key.
That's the key. All right. The key is stay healthy. That's the key. That's the key. Stay healthy. That's the key. That's the key. Stay healthy. That's the key. That's the key. That's the key. Stay healthy. That's the key. That's the key. Now, as I move to this set of questions, I've had some questions come to me in regards to the growth of the church and where's the church moving. So this question that I will ask is very important. Will you combine local churches and dioceses to help church grow?
Will I combine local churches to help church growth?
Yes.
That's the question. The answer is yes, but I will not force them. I'm not going to force two churches in a diocese. I must study all of the elements along with the suggestion of the diocese bishop, making sure that if we merge two local churches, that marriage will work. I want to merge churches. We're stronger together. And that's one of the mottos of Bishop Martha Thomas. We're stronger together. And I am a believer in that. But we don't want to force two churches to merge because of the fact that the people, although we all have the Holy Ghost, we all have certain ways that we live and certain things that we used to. And if we can't make adjustments, it might not work. But yes, I will merge them, but I will not force them.
That is a great point. Merging, not forcing. And I definitely agree with that statement. Now, as we move to a topic dealing with youth, young adults in the church, as I can remember growing up in the church, being a young man, and going off to college to study in my degree field, what I missed was the opportunity to stay in a group with the young adults to move forward. And I know last year was such an exciting announcement. It was a huge announcement. And I tell you, that filled me with so much joy. It filled me with so much joy to know that the Young Adult Auxiliary was created. Yah was created so we can have a place to move from the YFFU right to the young adults. So I want you to share what your thought and your insight was for creating that auxiliary.
And
yes,
that adult auxiliary, they are off to a huge start in our church, and it was a void. It was a void there with that particular age group. It seemed like we were paying attention to everybody except that particular age group, and they felt that they weren't being recognized and had nothing to do. So a group of them got together. They didn't come with picket lines. They came with their Bible and their degree. They came with humbleness, and beautiful spirits, and a beautiful group of them got together and worked out what we are dealing with now, which is the Young Adult Auxiliary. They've been moving along and doing a lot of great things in our church. And we hope that they will continue and that there will be a lot of other great things that they will present to us. And we're back to you, Shay.
Where do you see the church 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I see the church growing. I see it growing in population. I see it growing spiritually and evangelistically. And then with this new strategic plan that we have in effect that has been brought before the Supreme Executive Council, I see the church 5 years from now, not even looking like it looks right now, but moving, growing, progressing. But one of the things that I do want you to know that we're working on is a new youth center, a youth complex for the same group that we're talking about, the young adults, but for the entire YFFU, Young Folks and Friends Union of our church. That would be a new facility, and I hope it don't take us 5 years to build it. I want to be up and running with this and get this done as fast as we possibly can. So we would relocate. I want to walk it back a little bit. We will relocate our youth activities that are being held at the gym now, and they would have their own facilities right there on the main campus, where everything would be centrally located. So we're looking at that. And another thing that's going to change our church, we're going to be working with Tennessee State University that will build new dormitories. Our church will do it, but it will also be in conjunction with Tennessee State University so that both the church and the college would have access to those facilities. And we have enough land. Thank God for the pioneers of the church, for the wisdom of the previous 5 administrators, that our church has enough land to do almost anything that we think that we might want to do. Thank you.
All right. We're moving. We are moving in a great direction. Now, I have one question before I get to the General Assembly questions. There are House of God churches on the West Coast of the United States. Do we have a plan for any expansion, any plans for planting new churches in Texas, Nevada, California, Arizona, etc.?
Shane, I'm going to share some things with you. I remember the late Bishop Jenkins told me, he said, Butler, and this was when he was my bishop and mentoring me, he said, work quietly and don't make a lot of noise. And when they get ready to stop you, you will have done what the Lord has asked you to do. So you asked a powerful question, and I'm going to answer it simply because you asked it. But a lot of times, I will tell you this as an old man talking to a young man, a lot of times it's not good, even though we want to inspire the church, but to put everything out. Because your adversary, the devil, is just like a roaring lion. We're trying to make progress for the church and do great things for the church. And Satan is on his post. He doesn't want to see any of these things come to pass. But since you talked about expanding on the other side, we sent a delegation just last week over to Nevada. And hopefully when we come in to the General Assembly, we will be announcing a new diocese in the House of God Church. New people, some of which Bishop Allen, he was on that committee, took in already some ministers that are coming in to be confirmed in this General Assembly. And we are going to acquire property good property in Nevada. And the people, the delegation that we sent out there, they brought us back a documentary, and it looks like everything is going well for Nevada. Now, we also have exploratory work that is going on in Mexico. We have exploratory work going on in the Bahamas. We are just hearing about the possibility of going back into Canada and starting the work there. And so, yes, oh yes, and also don't forget about Africa, where Bishop Thomas is. We just received a video on the works that are going on in Africa. And we hadn't made it official yet, because one of the mottos of Bishop Fletcher was, Butler, you must go slow and think. Think about what you're doing. But Africa is looking good. We also have exploratory work going on now in Arizona. So yes, to answer your question, there is a lot of new works that are either exploratory or works that have already began to be developed. And Nevada at the top of the list.
Wow. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. The church is growing. The church is growing. And we thank God for that. We thank God for that. Now, we know that our General Assembly is coming. It's coming in June. And I tell you what, anything like I experienced last year, it just blew me away. It blew me away. So we are excited for this year for sure. Now, one question that I know that came before me was, if you were not permitted to be ordained in previous years and unable to attend last year due to illness, will grace be given this year? For example, I had surgery and I was unable to attend last year.
The short answer for that is yes. Let me say this. Anybody that feels that they have a special circumstance, because it is our goal to make sure that people get ordained. We want you ordained. Not only that, we want you promoted. Everybody can't go up the ladder at the same time. And all promotions comes from God. He sets up one, takes down another. So he's in control. And then we also have to watch how we grow. If you have a diocese that already has 20 general elders, I'm just giving you an example, then there might not be another general elder appointed in that diocese for a while, even though you might have people that might be qualified, but there's not a need in that particular diocese. So those general elders may need to look at all of this other territory, all of the other states that we don't even have a church in, and begin to stretch out, help us to spread the word and spread this House of God church, that we might have at least one church in all of our states. Now, going back to your question, for the candidate that wanted to be ordained, if there are any that have special circumstances, what you want to do is write a personal letter to the chief overseer explaining your situation, and make sure that we get it prior to the General Assembly. In fact, if you know that you got a situation now, it would be good to go ahead and write us now so that we can begin to work on your situation. But what I'm trying to do, and what the committee is trying to do, the Supreme Executive Council, is to look at these cases on an individual basis. Everybody doesn't have the same problem. That would be my short answer, even though it was a long answer.
All right, all right. So at this time, I'm going to introduce to you Dr. Clary Butler Jr., who is the executive director. Dr. Butler, are you on?
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
That's awesome. First of all, thank you for being on, and thank you for what you do for our church. You and I grew up together and playing drums and traveling to different state assemblies, also for the visionaries of Vivid Vision. The Chief Overseer, it's a pleasure to be able to work with him. And I just want to say that, we're excited about what the future looks like, and that's for sure. And while I have the floor, I can just kind of piggyback on what the Chief Overseer was saying about the qualifications. Anyone who took the General Assembly classes in 2021, which is when the new program started, they should have received a certificate at the end of those classes. If you are scheduled to take the General Assembly classes in 2022, then you would get your second certificate. And you only need 2 certificates in order to be eligible for going before your pastor and your presiding elder, your bishop, so that they can recommend you to both the state screening process and to the national screening process. So to be clear, if you've got a certificate starting in 2021, you're going to get your second certificate this year. All it takes is 2 certificates, and then that recommendation from the state screening process and the national screening process, which is the Confirmation and Ordination Committee, and you are eligible to be a candidate to move forward. If for some reason you could not get a certificate last year and you can't get a certificate this year, or one of the 2 causes a problem for you, then by all means, the Chief Overseer was absolutely correct. You have what we would consider a special circumstance. And in that case, you can write the branch office directly to the Chief Overseer, and his email address is chief.overseer@hogconline.org.
All right. We thank Dr. Butler for that. Now, I'm going to move just to 2 more questions. 2 more questions. Knowing that the General Assembly is this year, what is the health protocol for the Assembly this year? Will everyone that attend need to have been vaccinated like last year?
I'm going to pivot that back to Dr. Butler, because he works on that particular committee along with Trial Bishop Lucas and others. And that committee helps to formulate our protocol, and then they bring it before the entire Supreme Executive Council, and then we make a decision. So if Dr. Butler is still with us, he'd be happy to answer that for you.
Work of the Global Pandemic Response Team, which is a team that the Chief Overseer put together to be able to share information. This is a group of doctors and nurses that have come together, and they share that information with Chief Overseer and with the Supreme Executive Council. And what they have decided after much diligence, Bishop Butler spoke about Trial Bishop Lucas and the work that he's done leading that particular team. What they've done is they have helped us to be able to make progress. First of all, we didn't have that team in place last year. And so it's a privilege to be able to have their expertise this year. So 2 years ago, if you will remember, in 2020, we did not have a General Assembly. In 2021, we had a General Assembly, but the General Assembly was for people that were only fully vaccinated. So you had to be fully vaccinated in order to attend the 2021 General Assembly. This year, either you can be fully vaccinated, or they are asking that all other attendees, if for some reason you cannot get vaccinated for one reason or another, that you would just bring a negative PCR COVID-19 test. The PCR test is a standard test there that has been approved by the CDC, et cetera. So as long as you have a negative PCR COVID-19 test within 3 days of you attending the General Assembly, everybody can stay safe. There is no rate of transmission. The incident of serious illness or any type of hospitalization is less than 1%. I mean, it's so insignificant that the team feels that everybody can be safe and we can have a glorious time at the General Assembly.
All right, that is great information. Great information. Now, my last question to you tonight: what can people expect for this year's General Assembly? And by chance, do you know the theme?
Our God is able. Our God is able. And what can they expect? They can expect the Holy Ghost to fall. They can expect God, because only Jesus saves, God to anoint people with the power of the Holy Ghost, God to heal people, God to deliver people from different situations. All of this will be going on during our upcoming General Assembly.
Our God is able. That's almost like a proclamation.
Yes.
Our God is able.
And you can apply that.
Bishop Butler, oh yeah, for sure. Now, Bishop Butler, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for sharing with us. We thank you for just giving us an insight into your world and also giving us hope as we move towards the future. Now, before I close, is there anything else that you would like to share?
The main thing that's on my mind right now is our national theme that we have adopted, and that is bring back the love. I did not create that. I didn't create it out of my own mind. But it is referenced in the Bible that because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. So it was there when I joined the church. It was there when I became the chief overseer. And we must let brotherly love continue. So there is a great need. Maybe down the road, 20, 30 years from now, we may not need to say, bring back the love, bring back the love, bring back the love. But we know right now, by examining our own selves, that we need to bring back the love, that this great church might grow, that people might get healed, saved, and delivered, and brotherly love may continue. God bless you.
All right. Bring back the love. Because you know why? God is able.
Amen.
Yes, he is. All right, before I wrap up, I want to bring back Dr. Clary Butler Jr. because he's going to share something so special. Once I heard it, I was like, wow. So he's going to share that information with you right now.
Thank you for this opportunity. And again, thank you to the Chief Overseer for an incredible vision and all that he does to the church or for the church and for our community. I just want to say that I'm as excited as I can be about the General Assembly and what will happen at the General Assembly, because it's just going to be a glorious time. We've had some difficulty the last several years that we have come through with this pandemic. But it just seems as though the theme that our God is able is so fitting for this year. And I just can't wait. A couple of things that we do want to let you know that masks are still in effect. The Global Response Pandemic Council, our team has suggested that it is important for us to still wear masks. We want to say this, though. We're going to give you an opportunity to take a little bit of a breather. So it's not going to be so stringent that, you can't at least, pull it down to catch some fresh air, particularly if you're a program participant and you're singing on the microphone. You don't have to be masked in those situations. I am praying for the day that it is not necessary for us to wear masks, but it is recommended right now. All updates are going to be online. I think in the lower third of the screen, you can see hogconline.org as the Chief Overseer receives more information from the Supreme Executive Council, as well as the Global Response Pandemic Team. They will update those things, but yes, masks will still be in effect. However, we've got a few special treats that the Chief Overseer has been praying about, and he's asked us to work on. And so we're going to show a special video invitation. But before we do that now, I just want to say that on Sunday this year, we had talked about doing a baptism service, and that was certainly on the marquee for us. But because of the pandemic and out of an abundance of caution and some logistical concerns, just to keep everyone safe, the Chief Overseer has decided to postpone that until 2023. And so we're looking forward to coming back and participating in that sacrament in 2023. However, something very special has come to our forefront, and that is the Chief Overseer is inviting all of Mother Tate's children to come on that Sunday. Sunday is going to mark the culmination of our weekend services and in actuality, the culmination of the entire General Assembly. And so for the very first time, we're inviting all of Mother Tate's children, not just the Dominions. We know about the dual Dominion and the White Dominion and the Lewis Dominion, etc., that are Mother Tate's children that are doing great work, many of them in different parts of the world. But there are others that have gone out to do some wonderful things, planting churches and missionizing and what have you. And so the heart of outreach from this Chief Overseer to invite everybody back home into one big family reunion in Nashville, Tennessee on Sunday, June the 26th. I'm just looking forward to it. And so formal invitation is going to be going out to leaders and congregations of these organizations. But we just wanted to say that you need to go ahead and get your ticket. You need to go ahead and gas up, whatever you have to do, because all roads lead to Nashville, Tennessee. As a matter of fact, our national media team has put together this video to really capture the essence of what the Chief Overseer wants to do in this upcoming General Assembly. And so we hope that you enjoy this.
our city. Lift your hands and say, Spirit of the living God, fall down, fall down, fall down, fall down on me, on me, on me.
Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Shane, for moderating. Special thanks to the Chief Overseer for coming on. His very first Vivid Vision. What a wonderful way to mark the 1-year anniversary of him becoming the Chief Overseer, being selected to lead our great church. If you have any questions for the Chief Overseer, you can go to Chief Overseer or email him actually at chiefoverseer@hogconline.org. If you have any questions, suggestions, or just general comments for the church, for the national church, you can do that online as well at info@hogconline.org. That's info@hogconline.org. And again, thank you for joining us. Registration is now opening up for you to be able to do that. You can call in to register. I think you saw that number was on the screen. And then you can go on our website, which is hogconline.org, hogconline.org. God bless you. And I'm certain that I will see many of you between now and the General Assembly. But if I don't, we will see you on the mountaintop. God bless you.